Hello friends, it's John from Saleosaurus. Got another no rush toy show and tell for you. Hope you're enjoying these. I certainly am. This time, I thought I'd take a look at one of my favorite toys from my childhood, and still from my what do we call this? The extended childhood. I still love it now. The Kenner Mask Firefly is what we're talking about today. And I thought, just like I did with the Starcom video, I would take a look at all the different pieces and parts of the toy, and I've even got a pretty special item that'll be involved a little bit later. So first off, let's get this box. This beautiful, bright colored box, the Mask Firefly. My love of this toy goes all the way back to, gosh, how old would I have been when I got my Firefly? Unfortunately, this is not the Firefly that I got as a kid, but it is pretty much identical, so I think it'll be good enough. I got one of these when I was very small, and used to bring it to the student union at the school my dad taught at, and I used to just zoom around showing it off to anybody who I guess was trying to curry favor with my dad and was willing to entertain a small child. So let's go through the sections of this box real slowly and just admire everything. So first up, I want to point out this price tag from Eckerd. Eckerd, I don't know if you still exist, but I do remember it was a chain of drugstores similar to like a Walgreens or a Rite Aid or what have you. So, right off the bat, we have this beautiful, beautiful art of the Firefly with Julio, and they're going into battle, dropping this projectile bomb down. It advertises very clearly this dune buggy changes to rocket glider and back. I don't know if I would have called this a rocket glider if I was, working at Kenner back in the day, but hey. They made a lot of the toys that I love, so I'm gonna let them go with that. Then we have Julio showing the longer mask, which unfortunately is the only version I have. If you're not familiar with Mask, it's this isn't the place that I'll tell you the history of Mask and all of that, but fantastic toy line with masks that everyone wore. Here on the side, we show the rocket glider mode and that great old Kenner logo. And I'll skip over this real quick. Let me show the dune buggy. Then here on the bottom, it advertises more of the features. We have the tripod laser, some prism beam launchers, and a super stun atomizer, which I guess is this bomb that we can drop on the enemies. And then finally, let's look at the back. We got Julio with his streamer mask that apparently was able to shoot Vortekch glue onto the agents of Venom. We've already seen the prism beam launchers and the tripod laser here, but we haven't been introduced to the snap out wings and the supersonic turbines. We even got the proof of purchase intact, so this is, all things considered, a pretty nice example of a box for this Firefly. But this box is empty. I've gone ahead and taken everything that came in there out so that we could look at it together. So first, let's take a look at all this paperwork and stuff. First, I want to point out what is, I believe, the original bag that these came in, made in Macau. And inside it, we have some really great stuff. First off, and maybe least exciting, is a used sticker sheet. All those decals are already on the toy. But I kept it because, well, it's pretty cool. Next up, let's take a peek at the instruction booklet. Kenner always made sure to let you know that they really do care about you. And you know what? I think I kind of believe them. We got a lot of the info we already know. Dune Buggy conventional mode. The Rocket Glider action mode. But we open it up and we have some glorious line work illustrations of where to put those labels very carefully. We have information about Mr. Julio, how to use his mask, and, you know, stuff that I can't imagine that the average kid needed this, but it's nice that it's there. And then we show how to use all the action features of the Firefly. This actually, as I've gotten older and picked up these toys as an adult, I have had to refer to some of these instructions to figure out how everything is supposed to work. And then we have how do we drop the bomb, and how to load it back in there. And then finally shows us how to get it back from the rocket glider to the conventional dune buggy. Alright, we got one more piece of paperwork to check out before we get to the good stuff. Well, I mean, this is kind of the good stuff in my opinion, but it's all good stuff. So this is advertised as a poster, so I'll show you that first. We have a great big, don't even think I'll be able to get the whole thing on to my camera here, but we have a great, beautiful, beautiful piece of art showing off all of the vehicles in the early line here. If you like Mask, you definitely know who all of these guys are. And if you don't like Mask, well, what are you doing here? Maybe you're a new fan. You can get to love them yourself. Alright, so now I'm going to fold it back up, and we'll take a look at each section on the other side. So there's the hero artwork for the Mask, where they, you know, it's like you got the rhino on here, and you got a mask that it's not really exactly the same as anybody else's mask. Here's Boulder Hill, amazing playset for this line. We have a little blurb about what is Mask all about. I'll let you read that yourself if you're interested. We have Condor, Brad Turner. Got a lovely green motorcycle, turns into a lovely green helicopter. The Jackhammer with Cliff Dagger as the driver. So definitely a fan favorite there. There's one of my favorites, the Gator with Dusty Haze. If you're interested in that one, I do have one of those we could look at. We have the Switchblade, the sort of the main villain of the show, and his ride. The Rhino that we mentioned earlier. A great board game, that's pretty sweet. I don't know if I've ever seen that in person before. And a model kit. And we have the Piranha with Sly Racks. And we've got the Thunderhawk featuring Matt Tracker and his cool Spectrum mask. Okay, well, you've waited long enough now. It's time to take a look at Julio himself and then his sweet ride. We have Mr. Julio Lopez here with his beautiful mustache and his kind of oddly colored tan jumpsuit with, I do like the blue, but it's an odd color combination, but it doesn't make him not awesome. He has got similar articulation to the other toy lines that we have looked at, which is to say the Starcom and Computer Warriors. Julio does have some extra joints that the Computer Warriors didn't have. And then, of course, we have his glue shooting mask. And of course, we have the all-important streamer mask that is able to pretend to shoot glue at the enemy. There's a variant of this that's much shorter. They added this to prevent children from choking on tiny, tiny helmets. So that's Julio. Let's take a look at his vehicle, the Firefly. So here we have it in dune buggy mode. You can see that the stickers, the labels that were placed on there by the original owner are hanging on pretty tight, looking good. If you listen closely, you can hear the bomb moving around in there. So let's inspect this real quick. Oh, it really wants to open up. One issue you'll find with a lot of mask toys is that they have springs in them that are slowly wearing out, and they just really, really want to be open. So let's do that. Let's let it out. Let it free. So I believe there's the button that opens the wings. So now we have our prism cannons available. And then the last step we have is to open up the little front compartment so that the weaponry can be available. And then we have one last feature to show off on this awesome vehicle. You pull the other lever here, and it opens up a little tiny compartment you can see there, and it will drop. And now that's lost. That's lost forever. So I was able to retrieve it. Believe it or not, this is definitely the most expensive item if you were to try and complete a Firefly or really any of the mask vehicles. You're gonna be looking for one of these or some similar tiny part that will balloon the cost much higher than you originally planned. So I'm gonna get this back in here and close it up so I don't lose it. Okay, let's get Julio in his ride. There we go. Good job, buddy. Now, you may be asking, what is the deal with this other vehicle over here? And why does it look so similar to the Firefly? Well, this is basically a cheaper version of the Firefly. And it's from a toy line called Vortekch. Now, I am not an expert when it comes to these things. I've absorbed a lot of knowledge over the years, but I don't want to pretend like this is something I know. If you're interested in knowing more about Mask and Vortekch, I highly suggest you check out the website that I have linked in the description of this video. So this vehicle is called the Desert Striker, which I guess is appropriate since it's built off of a dune buggy. And this fella right here is known as Jeremy McMasters. So let's take a peek at him real quick and maybe compare him to Julio. So you can see he's significantly simpler than Julio in both his paint, and he is missing the joints at the knees there. He's still pretty cool though. I mean, that's a neat looking dude with a cool suit on. And you'll also notice that his helmet is much simpler than Julio's. Let's get them both wearing their noggin covers. No paint on Jeremy's. It's a lot smaller. It's actually kind of funny because I imagine this would not pass the long mask thing where they were trying to prevent choking hazards. So in trying to save money, they made their toy less safe for the kids. Okay, let's look at Jeremy's Desert Striker, the dune buggy here. So just like the Firefly, it opens up and becomes some kind of airplane, but they've simplified it so much that no longer does it have springs. Now I gotta do this myself. So it pops out. There we go. And then one more step, just like the Firefly. We flip this over, and there we go. We've got a very similar flying machine. So let's get each fella in their device here, and then maybe we can compare them to each other. And we can appreciate all of the delightful features that are present on the Firefly that aren't there on the Vortekch. So you can see the front there is much simpler on the Vortekch. On the Desert Striker, we got little headlights on Firefly. Firefly's also got nice rubberized tires and chrome on the back, where this is just molded in the plastic color. We've got labels on the Firefly that are just plain wings. Of course, we already know that the action features are present, and the dropping bomb doesn't exist on the dune buggy here. But it's interesting that the action feature that made the Firefly so much cooler is actually a little bit of a detriment nowadays because of the failing metals inside that the Vortekch doesn't have. So hopefully that was entertaining or relaxing or some combination of the two. I do appreciate you joining me on this little excursion into the history of some toys, and really just me bragging about something that I have that I really like. If you liked it, let me know. And if you didn't, let me know what I could have done better. Until next time, let's all just try to be cool. And I'll be back with you with some more cool stuff before you know it.